Well, I am so excited to be on this stage live at the Old Shebeen because the last time I stood here, it was March 2020. And we were right at the start of the first Women's Storytelling Festival and on the verge of a global pandemic. Yay! And at the end of what we now call the before times. At least that's what I call them. Well, it's a new year, it's a new beginning, and apparently it's a new era because historians are calling 2023 the first year of the post-pandemic era. I don't know what that means, but maybe we'll find out. Well, I've been on the cusp of big changes in my life many times, and I know we all have. And one of those times was when I finished graduate school and I was ready to go back out into the real world. Today we call that learning how to adult. Back then we just called it getting a job. So I decided what I wanted to do was be self-employed. I wanted to try being my own boss. But this required advertising myself, which required making business cards and flyers. It was early days of the internet, so nobody was really on this World Wide Web thing yet. We were still doing the printed thing and handing them out. But I needed money to do this, which required a business loan, and I calculated that I needed about $1,200. It wasn't a whole lot of money. So I started with my credit union. And they turned me down because I didn't have a job. Never mind that I needed the loan so that I could become employed. So I tried all the other banks in town, and same result, they all turned me down because I didn't have a job. Well, then I heard about this thing called the Women's Business Incubator. And I thought, great, I'm gonna go try this place out. I went, I got a case manager, I filled out an application, I interviewed, and the woman said, my case manager said to me, Sarah, you are just the perfect candidate for a loan from us because this is what the Women's Business Incubator was set up to help, people like you. Well, the loan board turned me down. I don't know why, but my case manager was so apologetic because she knew I was hanging my hope on this loan. And as I was leaving her office after she gave me the bad news, she said, well, wait a minute, have you tried XYZ Bank? And I said, well, no, I haven't tried the most prestigious bank in the city, the big bank, mega bank, because everybody else had already turned me down, and the Women's Business Incubator turned me down. What makes you think that mega bank is gonna give me a loan? So she said, you never know. I'm going to give you the name of this loan officer. She scribbled his name on a piece of paper and handed it to me, and I thought, what do I got to lose? Absolutely nothing at this point. So I bought a new dress. I hardly ever wore dresses. I borrowed makeup from a friend of mine because I never wore makeup, and I even put on a pair of pantyhose, and this was July. So on the day of my meeting with the loan officer, I'm walking to the bank. It's only about a mile from my house, but it's really hot. And I'm walking along the sidewalk, and I'm starting to get a little bit sweaty. And I started to become self-conscious. Is my dress too short? Is it too tight? Oh my God, I'm pitted out. Do I look like a tramp? Am I looking desperate? So I'm standing on this corner waiting to cross at this intersection, and there's this row of shops behind me, and I see this guy come out of one of the shops, and he's carrying a drinks can. And he gets on his bike, and he pops the top off this can, and he takes a sip, and he grimaces, and he shouts, yuck! And he chucks this can in the street, and he takes off on his bike. Well, now this bothered me for two reasons. The first one was this guy just littered, and the second one was, as I was looking at this can, it started to roll down the street. It was in the street along the curb, and it started to roll toward me. And I could see that it was one of these Knutson's fruit juice spritzers. Now, I don't think they make these things anymore, but I used to love these things, but they were super, super expensive, so I could only buy one to treat myself. And it was like holy water. And here this kid just dumped one completely wasted on the ground. So this can is rolling slowly, ker-chug, 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 and it comes to a stop right in front of me. And I noticed it was, the opening was facing me. And I'm thinking, okay, he only had his lips on it for a couple of minutes. I could wipe his cooties off. It's hot, I'm thirsty, I deserve this, and here's this perfectly good can of juice. So no, I didn't drink it. But the least I could do was go to pick it up and throw it away. There was a trash bin on the corner right there, so I could pick this litter up and throw it away. So I'm going for the can, and I look up and I see this pickup truck, and it's coming down the road toward me, and it's coming fast, and it's pretty close to the curb. So I'm stepping back, and as I'm stepping back, I get this thought in my head. And this thought is, what would happen if that truck ran over that can that's lying in the street right in front of me? About 3 seconds later, I found out what would happen if that truck ran over that can that was lying in the street right in front of me. Now, the ensuing event was like something you would only see in a film because, come on, what were the chances that all these little things fit together so perfectly if they hadn't been scripted, right? Woman denied for bank loan multiple times, stands on corner in brand new dress. Man on bicycle throws soda can in street. Cut to shot of can rolling down street. Landing in front of woman. Cut to shot of pickup truck barreling down road. Cut to shot of tire running over a can. Cut to shot, slow-mo this time, of the liquid flying through the air, sparkling in the summer sun. Cut to shot of liquid landing all over woman's hair, her face, her brand new dress. I was 10 minutes away for what at that time was probably the most important meeting of my entire life, and I had just been baptized in sticky holy water. So the light changes green, and I cross, and I am trying to wipe the stuff off me. It's everywhere. I get to the bank, and there's this water fountain in the lobby, and I go over to it, and I'm washing my hands in it, and I was gonna wash my face in it, but there's this guy giving me the stink eye, like, why are you bathing in the drinking fountain? So I go to my meeting with Mr. Banker, and we're sitting there, and he's asking me what my business goals are, and what my what do I need this loan for, and what's my credit history. And I notice as we're talking that his eyes keep kind of going to the top of my head, and I didn't think too much about it at the time because I was really nervous. And about 45 minutes later, I had finished filling out this paperwork, and he and I both stand up and we shake hands, and he says, now all I need from you is a couple more of these documents that we talked about, and your loan will be deposited in your new bank account, which I'm going to set up for you. Congratulations. Yeah. Mr. Banker had loaned me $10,000. This was a monumental amount of money for me at that time. I was stunned. So I go home, and the first thing that's on my mind is, I gotta take a shower. So I stop and look at myself in the bathroom mirror, and staring back at me is this bedraggled woman, hair sticking up where the juice had dried in it all over my head. I had a couple of shiny spots on my face where the juice had dried. My dress was a little bit crumpled in places where I had wiped my hands on my dress and it got crumpled. I looked like a 2-year-old who hadn't quite mastered the art of drinking out of a cup. So, or maybe I just looked like a 32-year-old who was so desperate for money she couldn't afford to launder her own clothes and take a shower and comb her hair before an important meeting. Well, maybe Mr. Banker felt sorry for me. I don't know. It didn't matter because I had that money and I was on my way to a new life. I was so happy. Well, May this new era, this post-pandemic era, whatever it turns out to be, shower you with the abundance and the sweetness of life, only maybe not so literally.